Welcome to our video lesson on adding polynomials. You've explored this idea by looking at it with algebra tiles, and now let's look at another way to do it with numbers and how to write it. So over here I've outlined the steps that you should follow when you're adding polynomials. The first step is to rewrite it again but remove the brackets. So we're going to do that right here with number 1. Number 1, we have 2x plus 3 in brackets plus 4x minus 3. And our two polynomials, this would be our first polynomial, and we're adding it to our second polynomial here. So let's do the first step and remove the brackets. So now I'd have 2x plus 3 plus 4x minus 3. My next step is to rearrange so like terms are together. In this situation, my like terms are anything that we would think represent using the same shapes, anything with the same variable. So this case, my 2x and my 4x are like terms, and my 3 and my other 3 are also like terms. So I'm going to rewrite this so that like terms are together. So this would say 2x plus 4x, because they're like terms, plus 3 minus 3. And the last step is to combine like terms. So we can write this in a simpler way by only having one coefficient before an x. So if I have 2x and I have 4x, if I add them together, I would end up with 6x. Then I have plus 3 minus 3. If I took plus 3 and added minus 3 to it, I would actually end up with 0. So that means that they kind of cancel each other out, and all I'm left with for this polynomial is 6x. In our next one, we're going to do the same thing. It looks bigger, but it's the same idea. One thing I want to say before we start are the terms in an expression like this, the sign that's in front of them goes with that term. So for example, this is 2x squared minus 4x. That means that this minus sign goes with my 4x. So this is negative 4x. And this negative sign goes with our 1. This positive goes with 2x, and this positive goes with the 5. What about the first term? Our first term doesn't have a sign out in front of it. If it was negative, it would say negative here. But it doesn't say negative, so we know this is a positive term. I just wanted to point that out. Okay, our first step is to remove the brackets. So let's rewrite this without the brackets. The reason we have the brackets is to show the two polynomials that we're adding together. But we need to get rid of them in order to add it properly. So our first thing will be 2x squared minus 4x minus 1 plus 3x squared plus 2x plus 5. Okay, our next step is to combine our like terms. Now I'm going to help us figure out what our like terms are here. So the first thing I'm going to do, you might want to use a highlighter for this, is I'm going to underline anything that has an x squared in it. So here's 2x squared. Then we have minus 4x, which isn't an x squared, and minus 1, which doesn't have an x squared. Then plus 3x squared, that has an x squared. So these two terms are like terms. Then we have 2x and 5 that doesn't have an x squared. Now let's go through and look at x's. Here we have negative 4x. This negative 1 doesn't have an x. This is plus 2x. So those two are like terms. And then finally, our last set of like terms are this negative 1 and positive 5. So what I'm going to do is rewrite it, rearrange it so that all my like terms are together. The first one is 2x squared. I'm going to cross it out to say I've already added it. Then I have plus 3x squared. That's the other purple one. So then here I'll write plus 3x squared. And I wrote a plus because the plus sign was out front of this 3x squared. Then I'm going to look at just my x's. So those are underlined in blue. So you have minus 4x. Now you might be wondering why minus? It's minus because the minus sign is out front there. So I'm going to cross that one out. Plus 2x. And I've done with all my blues, all my x's. Then I need to go to the yellows, just the integers. So minus 1 plus 5. And I'm going to cross those out too to make sure I've got them all. My last step is step step number 3, combine like terms. So here I'd have 2x squared plus 3x squared. That means I have 5x's squared. Then I have negative 4x squared plus 2x squared. Well, two of those would form 0 pairs and cancel out, so that means I have negative 2x. Then I have minus 1 plus 5, and if I combine those together, I'll have plus 4. So what I'm left with when I add these polynomials together is 5x squared minus 2x plus 4. Those are the two examples of adding polynomials. If you want some more help or want to see some more examples, please ask me. I'd be happy to go through some more with you. But that's all for now. I'll talk to you later.